Hi, this is Arthur, and we're listening to Hillary Scholten in Michigan on Two Broads Talking Politics.
Are you listening?
Hey everyone, this is Kelly with Two Broads Talking Politics, and I am on today with Hillary Scholten, who is running for Congress in the Michigan 3rd District. So hi, Hillary.
Hi, thanks so much for having me, Kelly.
Yeah, so we've heard a lot about how important Michigan is this year. So I'm excited to talk to you about this district, but let's start by talking about you. Tell me a little bit about you, your background, and why you're running for Congress.
You know, I was born and raised here in West Michigan, and I'm raising my own family here now too. Growing up, I certainly was not raised in a political family. If anything, the kind of conservative Christian community I was raised in definitely leaned Republican. But I have come from a family that has always put service first, service to our community, service to our country. And my mom's example as a public school teacher here in the city of Grand Rapids inspired me to commit my life to public service as well. I was a social worker. I worked on housing and homelessness issues at a local women and children's shelter, and then became a public interest lawyer, working on issues of civil rights, employment rights, immigration, and over these last several years working in our community, I've just seen such a deep and pressing need for a representative who is going to put the needs of folks who have been pushed out of the political process first every time when it comes to healthcare or the environment or the economy. As a mom, a civil rights lawyer, a person of deep faith, everything I care about is on the line in 2020. And I didn't want to look back on this moment and realize that I didn't do everything I possibly could to improve the lives of those in my community.
Let's talk a little bit about this district and about Michigan in general, and then I want to sort of wrap back around and talk more about some of the things you mentioned in your intro. So this is the Michigan 3rd District. Everybody in 2016 talked about how important Michigan was. They've all talked in 2020 about how vital Michigan is in this election cycle. And the Michigan 3rd is a chance to flip a district. This is the district that Justin Amash held and is on sort of all of the lists of one of the most flippable districts for Democrats. It's on the red to blue list. Cook Political has it as one of its flippable districts. So talk to me some about this district. Where is it in Michigan? And this seems to me like precisely the kind of district that Democrats need to win if they want to be able to flip the White House and the Senate.
Yeah, absolutely. So Michigan's 3rd Congressional District is situated in the western part of the state. It encompasses all or part of 5 different counties, Kent, Ionia, Berry, Calhoun, and a portion of Montcalm County. I think so many people here in Michigan and nationwide sort of consider West Michigan to be a real conservative stronghold, and it might, it's certainly not untrue. This district hasn't been held by a Democrat in almost half a century. It has never been represented by a woman. And it's really, we are seeing the seeds of change here on the ground. It's what caused me to raise my hand to run. I didn't do this to prove a point or go on some quixotic adventure. I knew that we could win. I knew that this district wanted and would vote for a representative like me. And I think we see those changes in 2 areas. One is, just changing demographics. The district is changing. It's getting younger, more diverse. We have a major booming hospital and health sector industry, which draws, a lot of folks from larger cities and immigrants, doctors, nurses coming, flooding to West Michigan for this growing sector of our economy. We also have a lot of schools, colleges and universities. Michigan State's medical school is here now. And so the city of Grand Rapids itself, which is 49% of the district, has added 5,000 new residents just in the last 2 years between the ages of 18 and 35. So, we've got a younger set. They're ready for new and more progressive leadership. And the second thing is, the voters here, especially ones from my community, from within the Christian Reformed Church, who, have often and still do, very much vote based on values, have really, I think, we have come to terms with the fact that, the Republican Party is no longer representing the values that they care about. Concern for the poor and the marginalized, the stranger and the immigrant among us. And I have just heard so many times on this campaign, I didn't leave the Republican Party. The Republican Party left me, and I feel politically homeless. And we are in this campaign are building something new, something for people on the right and the left who are ready to come together just to get things done for West Michigan. And we see that reflected in just the incredible growing momentum that we have in our campaign. Just tons of volunteers, record-breaking fundraising, and also reflected in our polling. We are now leading my Republican opponent by 2 points, 44-42 in the polls.
That's excellent. And, I think that we have been hearing that as well, that idea that the Republican Party has been leaving these people behind, really. And I think it's so important that they're able to find a home with the Democratic candidates. So you are a mom of sons. I think our sons are nearly identically aged. And there are so few moms of young kids in Congress. And you've been endorsed by Vote Mama, whom we love. So talk to me some about both about running for office as a mom of young kids, but also about how important it is to have that representation in Congress.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it is so crucial right now that we elect more individuals. I'll even just say broadly, I think it is so important that we elect more individuals who reflect a broader array of experiences. And I think electing more moms is so crucially important right now with the issues that are, being decided by our government in, especially the next 5 to 10 years, even the next year. You look at healthcare. Healthcare is absolutely in the crosshairs by the Republicans right now. Women and mothers make up to 80% of medical choices in a given family. We should have a seat at the table for how those decisions are made in Congress as well. We have to expand access, lower costs, and ensure protections for people with pre-existing conditions. As a mom, I feel this so deeply. I know so many mom friends who have children with underlying medical conditions, and they're looking at, an Affordable Care Act that protects their kids on their insurance plans till they're 26, that protects their kids for the rest of their life with pre-existing conditions. And, a Republican Party that's doing everything they possibly can to repeal those protections.
Yeah, absolutely vital. I understand though how difficult it must be to campaign, and that is precisely why we don't have more moms of young kids, or moms in general in office.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you as you're campaigning? You know, this is such a difficult time to be a parent anyway,
Yeah.
and to add that piece to it.
So true. People will ask me a lot of times, why don't you think we have more moms in Congress? And I'm just like, because they're too practical.
Yeah.
Nobody has time for this. Oh, it is. It certainly is a challenge. There is no way I could be doing this without my amazingly supportive partner, my husband, Jesse. He's amazing. He takes on just so much of the childcare, the running around, and he has just been fully on board and supportive from day one. I also have an incredibly supportive and loving community around me, my family, my mom and dad, who are right here in Grand Rapids. So this is certainly not something that mama candidates can do on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we've been forced to have to more because of this pandemic. When everything sort of shut down and we were forced back home, and I had to take on the role of, homemaker, full-time stay-at-home mom and homeschooling parent, as well as campaigning for Congress. My appreciation for those who fill those roles on a full-time basis every single day, just grew exponentially, and I didn't think it could grow anymore. So, it certainly has been challenging, but, like all moms and working moms, we're already doing the juggling act. So, throw a few more balls in and we'll make it work.
Yes. I think multitasking is my middle name at this point.
Exactly. I love the phrase, if you want something done, ask a over busy mom to do it. We'll figure out a way to fit it into the puzzle.
Yes, exactly. So I want to talk about immigration too. So you worked for the Department of Justice, working on immigration policies, and you've also worked at the Michigan Immigrant Rights Center, working on the immigration crisis. I've seen this. My day job is working with students, and I've seen international students just panicking at every little change that has happened with the current administration with immigration policy. Can you talk to me about what does that sort of constant change and turmoil in immigration policy mean for immigrants, for the country, and what would you like to see Congress doing, the next administration doing, to really make sure that we're not facing this anymore?
Yeah. So, I think it is, you just hit it right on the head. This is such a terrible, out of hand crisis of our time. Not only is it, the failure of our broken immigration system, a major humanitarian crisis, and a failure to signal to the rest of the world that we are, a reliable international partner, but it's a major economic crisis as well. When you look at the fact that the last 3 government shutdowns have been caused by failure to come to an agreement on an immigration issue, costing taxpayers billions of dollars. When you look at resources diverted from our dedicated military families to, an ill-conceived border wall, when you look at the opportunity cost that has been lost by failure to pass comprehensive immigration reform, when numerous economic studies show that comprehensive immigration reform would have a massive economic benefit to our country at a time when we certainly could use it. these are other important factors to consider that don't often make headlines because, keeping kids in cages and separating from their parents is a pretty gripping headline in and of itself. But I think it is so important that we not lose sight of, that also crucial economic aspect that is at play in comprehensive immigration reform and in immigration issues, again, especially at a time of economic recession that we're experiencing right now. So I think that so much of the conflict around immigration has really come down to just both sides on the right and the left digging their heels in farther and doing too much, virtue signaling in terms of their policy instead of coming together around issues of common ground. And we know that it's there. Immigration actually didn't always used to be a Democratic-led issue. In fact, the last major comprehensive immigration reform bills that have been passed have been under Republican leadership. And I think that we need to come to a place where we can find those issues of common ground again so that we can move forward because literally lives are depending on it. I believe that we need to increase, not decrease, the pathways to legal immigration in this country. We do have to get our border more secure. I don't think you'd find anyone to say that the border is a safe place right now. And we have to hold true to our promise to our international partners, especially sending countries who have relied on us for aid and who we know if we invest in those countries, the number of immigrants and refugees fleeing violence and poverty and economic devastation gets lower. Individuals want to remain in their home, their culture, with their friends and their family. And we can aid those efforts by investing in non-governmental organizations who are doing crucial work to keep those communities safe.
Yeah, I really hope that immigration is a top priority in the next administration. I think that this just absolutely must be less confusing, less terrifying for people who are in the U.S. So I really look forward to better policies there.
Absolutely.
So if our listeners would like to help your campaign, and I will remind them that if they help your campaign, they are also helping Joe Biden win the presidency through Michigan and helping Gary Peters win the U.S. Senate seat in Michigan. So how can they join Barack Obama, endorse you, and help your campaign out?
Oh, absolutely. And they can learn more and get involved at HillaryScholten.com. We have opportunities for volunteering, now with the, everything being done virtually, we have so many more opportunities for folks to sign up and make phone calls, to do text banking, write postcards in these last days of the election. We could really use your help. You can also chip in, make a donation if getting involved there is not your thing. And I did just want to say too, this is such a crucially important election. As you mentioned, not just for this seat, although that is, first and foremost, I raised my hand to run, to be a strong representative for this community. But the work that we are doing here is so important. Michigan is on the map again. It went for Donald Trump by less than 10,000 votes in 2016, and we are determined to make sure that doesn't happen again. We have seen the devastating policies that have happened here economically, environmentally, and we want to make sure it doesn't happen again. Additionally, Michigan is one of those balance states in the event of a runoff contested election in the House of Representatives. If the presidential election goes to the House under a contested vote under the 12th Amendment, what happens there is each state gets to cast one vote, and the majority of the delegation determines which way that vote will go. If the state delegation is tied, the vote doesn't count. However, with this open seat, we have an opportunity to flip the vote count to 8-6 Democrat Republican, ensuring that we don't let Michigan go for Trump again in 2020. So that's just an increasingly important reason why Michigan and Michigan 3 is so important in the 2020 election. So we'd love your help making sure that we can win this seat.
So most important seat in the most important state in the country. Got that, everyone?
Did we make that clear?
Is there anything else that you want to make sure we talk about today?
I think at this time in our country, we all have such an important role to play in building bridges to restoring our democracy. I think that it's so easy to, foment in anxiety and fear and outrage about what is happening. But there is such healing that can happen when we put our differences aside and come together for the common good. And I know on our campaign, I'm asking folks to reach out to someone they think they may disagree with and ask them what's on their mind in 2020 and listen with, the intent of understanding and having a real conversation. I know that there are so many people who are hungry to have those kinds of conversations and to find that common ground. And so often we have to be the ones to, extend a hand first.
Yeah. Well, Hillary, thank you so much. I am excited about your campaign, and I look forward to welcoming you back on the podcast once you are Representative Scholten. So thank you so much for running and for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I really appreciate it. It's great talking with you today.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you for listening to Two Broads Talking Politics, part of the Dimcast Podcast Network. Our theme song is called Are You Listening? Off of the album Elephant Shaped Trees by the band Immunuri, and we're using it with permission of the band. Our logo and other original artwork is by Matthew Weflin and was created for use by this podcast. You can contact us at twobroadstalkingpolitics@gmail.com or on Twitter or Facebook at Two Broads Talk. You can find all of our episodes at twobroadstalkingpolitics.com or anywhere podcasts are found.